Hello, this is David Taylor Klaus, and this is Mindset Mondays with DTK, episode 28, and ready to roll. So if you will, take just a quick second to click share, invite your friends to join the conversation. Would love to have more voices in this mindset playground. So bring your folk. All right, what we're going to play with today is, this is actually a super simple one. What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? And in fact, get ready, because what I'd love folk to do is share as we go through today. What comes up for you? What's on your list of what you would attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? So again, while we're kicking in, take a quick second to share this with your friends and invite other folks to join the live broadcast. All right, so wow, what would you attempt if you couldn't fail? Love this one. This is one of the early ones that I've added to my card deck. And yes, I'm off camera for a second because I got to pull one of these again. So this deck of cards, the mindset cards, this is a really early one that I added because, my God, this, as simple as it is, this is the one that really brings up opportunity, really gives us the chance to rethink the limitations that we pack on ourselves, right? The amount of time and energy we spend convincing ourselves that we're going to fail, wow, it's amazing. That keeps us from actually stepping in and playing. So what would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? You know, I go back to 1995. I had no clue. Beth Cooper and I sat down in the Taco Mac in Virginia Highlands and in San Francisco Coffee Roasting Company, and we spent hours playing with ideas. And what could we do? What could we take what she was good at and what I was good at and where we overlapped and where we had gaps, and what could we do? We knew we wanted to work together. The brilliant thing is we never gave a thought to what if we failed. It's amazing how freeing it is when you're clueless. The difference is between not thinking about whether you're going to fail or not and just plowing ahead, which obviously 14 years of working together and the company is still alive some 20 plus years later. Oh my God, yes, it didn't fail. The real question is, wow, when you know you can't fail, when you hold that truth, that belief, when you, as Larry Winget says, make the decision and then make the decision right, and you plow forward. So looking at your career or your business, looking at your confidence or emotional awareness, looking at giving or contribution or community, there are 12 areas to play with: your family and friends, health, body and fitness, your intimate relationship, leisure and fun, life purpose, passion, money, finances. What would you do? What would you attempt? What would you start if you knew you could not fail? So the two ways to play with it today, and I sort of want to take two different directions. One is back to what we played with in episode 13, Jung's quote that failure, I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to be. Right? So I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to be. I think the idea there is failure is an event, not a person. It's something that happens. So even if you attempted something, even when we attempt things and we do fail, it doesn't make us a failure. Oh my God, how freeing is that? How freeing is the idea that if something we attempt fails, it doesn't make us a failure. When things that I attempt, things that I roll out, ideas that I play with, if they fail, that doesn't make me a failure. I may have failed at that. That business may have failed. That idea may have failed. That launch may have failed, but I am not a failure. Failure is an event, not a person. When you look at Silicon Valley and you look at what's happening in the VC community and even in the angel funding community, the teams where the leadership has already experienced a failure, a failed company, a failed launch, those are the companies, those are the ideas, those are the startups that are getting funding. Because failure is actually a brilliant learning space. So take that as an opportunity to pull the sting out of failure. When you hold yourself tied, your identity and your success tied to any initiative, any company, any effort. Wow, if it fails, how easy is it for you to map that over and say, oh, it failed, so I'm a failure. When in fact, it failed, wow, I know more for the next time. It's actually a very powerful lift. Right, Andy, I love it. Songwriting, performing music with your wife, stand-up comedy, starting a coaching consulting business. Wow, well, love that you've only given the short list, right, Andy? But that's it. Let it roll. What are the different things you would attempt if you knew you could not fail? When you hold the belief, not if you knew, when you realize that, wow, you can't fail. You can't fail. An initiative might, a launch might, an effort might, but that doesn't make you a failure. And I think the reason that we take the fear of failure as a stopping point is the idea of how judged we feel we are going to be. Poe Bronson, several years ago, wrote about a series of experiments that were done. And it came down to what happens to a human when they feel judged. So he took two groups of folk. First one had to do 3 skydives. None of these folks had ever jumped out of an airplane before. The second group were competitive ballroom dancers. So with the first group, testing the cortisol levels with a medium, a specific piece of gum that they would chew and then test after the jump. During the first dive, the first skydive, yes, they got training first. During the first one, as they leapt out of the plane, their cortisol, the stress hormone, their cortisol levels were through the roof. Understandably, you're hurtling towards the ground, reaching terminal velocity, and at which point the equivalent of a sheet with strings on it pops out and lets you float to the ground. It can be terrifying. Second jump, stress levels were high, well above average, but still not as high as the first jump. Third jump, as Poe writes about, the cortisol levels were no higher than driving in rush hour traffic. So obviously they were able to accommodate and manage the stress reaction to jumping out of an airplane over the course of 3 jumps. Well, competitive ballroom dancers, the test was run, they checked the cortisol levels for 3 different competitions. During the same competition, it was 3 different performances. The first performance, the cortisol levels were through the roof. The second performance during that competition, the cortisol levels were the same. And the third, they were the same. So what, along with the other research they had done, what they extrapolated was risking your life, facing certain death, is easier to accommodate the stress level than being in a situation where you're being judged. So think about that. Why do we step away from potential failure? It's because we don't want to be judged. Starting my coaching practice, selling my part of the company to my business partner in 2009, and stepping out to start coaching full time. God, it was terrifying. Part of me was, hell yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm meant to do. This is why I'm here. And yet, it was still terrifying. What would I attempt if I knew that I could not fail? Doing what it is that I'm meant to be doing. What else? Is it taking my daughter's challenge to run the Thanksgiving half-day marathon with her this Thanksgiving? What would I attempt if I knew I couldn't fail? Same for you. What would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? What would be possible if you let go of the fear of being judged? Bill, you tell me when you do stand-up comedy, I'll be there. So, I mean, that's it. What are you willing to declare here? You know, in the middle of this broadcast, lay it out there. What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? That's what this is all about. The reason I'm doing this series, the reason these conversations are happening, and giving folks the opportunity, me and whoever's joining me in these and watching throughout the week, giving us the opportunity to play with these new ideas and think about new possibility. And here, consider, what would you attempt if you could not fail? What are you willing to declare is possible? What are you willing to let go of judgment on? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to be bold enough, like Bill, to say? Start your own business, do stand-up comedy, right? What is it going to be? And more importantly, when is it going to be? Yeah, what would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? And when are you willing to own that? When are you willing to step into that possibility? You know, waiting and stepping back and sitting in the fear, starting this coaching practice, any of the initiatives that I've launched, anything I've done here in the last 10 years, I can sit in the fear and stay small. That is exhausting. It's painful. Sitting in the fear is more uncomfortable for me. And I'm assuming that I'm not the only one who feels this way, but sitting in my fear and being judged by myself for not taking action, that costs more, that hurts more, that is more draining than being judged by anybody else. I'd rather be judged by the world for what I do than judged by myself for what I don't do. Think about how you speak to yourself versus how you let other people speak to you. That internal dialogue, that internal judgment. I'd rather sit and be judged by the world around me for what I do than be judged by myself for what I don't do. And Andy, it's a great question. One of the things that I've been dancing with is launching a different type of program, a year-long mastermind program. And, I dance back and forth with my coach. Is that where I want to be? Is that what I want to do for my practice? And is it fear, or is that not what I want for my practice? And that's a lot of what I dance with. So what are you dancing with? What's coming up for you? What's the piece that you're stepping back from? Where does the fear stop you from moving? The fear of judgment, the fear of failure, hell, the fear of success, right? What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? And who's standing by to support you? Who are the allies that are there? Who would be shocked at what you're afraid of and what you're stepping back from attempting? It's amazing that when we put things out in the world that we attempt, allies show up. So for this week, the opportunity is to play with this. What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? So it's Monday. If you're a member of the group, join the conversation here. Talk about, and if you're willing to share what you would attempt if you knew you couldn't fail at facebook.com/groups/Mindset Monday. Join the conversation there. Share this group and share this live broadcast with your friends. Let them join the conversation. See who's willing to step in. So for this week, I would love you to play with what would you attempt if you could not fail. And until next week, what mindset will you choose?